Hello, everyone. Welcome to Paranormal Girls. And today I'm going to attempt to do some storytelling. I'm excited about doing this, so just bear with me. I know I got the glare and the glasses and everything, but a good story, who cares? I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Robert the Doll. I watched a few documentaries on this and it gets me pretty creeped out. But I'm going to tell you the story of Robert the Doll today. The story of Robert the Doll dates back to the early 1900s when a young man named Eugene Robert Otto was given one-of-a-kind handmade doll by a servant that worked for his parents in his home. Now Eugene, who everyone called Gene, named the doll Robert and quickly became attached to his new friend. Now the home where Eugene lived, now called the Artist House, is located at 534 Eaton Street and was built between 1890 and 1898. It was here that Eugene was given a doll. A friendship that lasted throughout his lifetime and beyond was forged. Now, while he seemed like an ordinary doll, it wasn't long before Robert involved in a strange and somewhat terrifying events. The first hint something out of the ordinary was happening one night when Gene was 10 years old, awoke and found Robert the doll sitting at the end of his bed staring at him. Now this would totally freak me out. I don't think I'll have any dolls anytime soon sitting in my house. Moments later, his mother was awakened and she heard Gene screaming, and he was screaming really loud. Sounded like furniture being turned over in her son's room, and it was just very loud. Gene continued to cry for help, so his mom, when she was finally able to get the door unlocked, saw Gene curled up in fear on his bed, and his room was in shambles. Like, it was so messed up. The doll was sitting on the foot of the bed. Now Gene, he said Robert did it. And those were the only words that Gene could get to come out of his mouth. He used these words many, many times throughout his childhood when strange things and destructive things and all this stuff was happening in his room. Now, nobody knows for sure why or how this child plaything could actually cause havoc in this child's room. It was just a toy. It was just a toy. It was just a doll. But the weird didn't stop at the one occurrence. Gene's parents would often hear their son upstairs talking to the doll and getting a response in a totally different voice. And they reported seeing the doll speak and witnessing his expression change, giggling and sightings of Robert running up the steps and staring out the window, and just strange behavior from Gene. Robert continued to live with Gene throughout his lifetime. And after Gene's parents died, he moved back into his home with his wife, Anne, and Gene decided that the doll needed to have a room of its own, so he went upstairs and fixed a little area by the window so that Robert could overlook the street. Now, Anne, she felt uneasy about this. She did not feel comfortable with Robert being in the house. She just couldn't put her finger on it, on what this doll was all about. And she wanted Gene to keep the doll locked up. So she requested that he put it in the attic. Wouldn't do any harm. But Gene conceded this and could not imagine putting Robert the doll up in the attic. Gene decided to go ahead and put the doll in the attic to please Anna. Robert appeared to not be happy with his new home. Soon the visitors to the home would hear footsteps in the attic. They would hear noises in the attic. They would hear giggling, almost kind of like a really devilish giggling, pacing back and forth. And the neighborhood children a report seeing Robert watching them from the window in the upstairs bedroom, and told accounts of the doll actually mocking them as they would walk to school. And when Gene heard of this, he decided to investigate, knowing that he had locked Robert in the attic and there was no way he could be sitting in the window in the upstairs bedroom. To his complete shock, when he opened the door to the bedroom, there was Robert sitting in the chair, looking out the window. Gene locked Robert back in the attic several times, discovering him again sitting in the window in the bedroom and not in the attic. Gene Otto died in 1974, and when the new owner of the home moved in, their 10-year-old daughter found Robert the doll in the attic. All the excitement and everything ended when she claimed that Robert was alive and that the doll wanted to hurt her. She woke up often in the middle of the night screaming in fear and told her parents that Robert had moved into the room. Now, y'all, I would freak out. Like, I would totally lose my stuff. It wasn't long before Robert the doll was given away, and today he lives at the East Martello Fort, where visitors from all over the world come to see him. Now, many believe that Robert is a possessed doll, and they believe that he is evil. The woman was supposedly mistreated by her bosses that gave Robert the doll to Gene. So to punish them, it is believed that she cursed the doll with some voodoo magic, and that would explain the mysterious and frightening overload of experiences that people have had with this doll. But wouldn't the haunting end, as most ask, when they die? It says that Robert the doll continues to taunt and scare, especially guests at the museum who attempt to take photos. Many have reported that their cameras become inoperable and when they tried to take a picture of Robert, only to begin working again when they left the museum. Now, Robert the doll sits inside a glass case, but it doesn't seem to stop him from inflicting fear and pain and discomfort on visitors of the museum and anyone who taunts him. And the staff has reported that Robert's facial expression does change. They hear him giggling like a demonic giggle, and have seen Robert putting his hands up to the glass. Guys, I don't think I'll be going to seeing Robert the doll anytime soon. That would totally freak me out. Now, I've also heard stories through the documentaries and stuff that I've watched that taunted Robert the doll and ended up in a wreck. People have went in and have gotten severely sick. People have gone in and had weird thoughts, things that they couldn't control and didn't know why they were having these thoughts. But I don't think Robert the doll is to be messed with. I've never had that experience with anything like that, or with a doll of any sorts, or a toy for that matter. But there are a lot of stories of this Robert the Doll, and I just think I'll stay away. I think I'll just stay here in my happy little home and leave Robert the Doll at the museum where he is located. But I hope you enjoyed this story. I'm going to be doing a variety of different things, like stories of like this, Robert the Doll, people's personal experience with the paranormal, haunted locations, and hopefully you enjoy these. And if you do, leave down in the comments what you think. If there's something you would like to hear, just let me know, and we'll see about doing that. Again, this is something new, so there's going to be a lot of probably stumbling, and I'll edit the best I can and maybe get longer as the time goes by. This is just kind of a practice run, but I would like to hear from you and let me know what you think. Let me know if you've ever seen Robert the Doll in person, and if you had an experience with Robert the Doll or know of anybody that has. Let us know in the comments, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe, comment, push that notification button so you'll know when our videos come out, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for joining in.